I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk to folks from the VTuber community about their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. Jasmer joins us. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Going well. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
I'm Jasmer. I'm just a typical forest oni. I like to play games, sing on occasions,
Wow.
and a few other things. I'm learning how to animate, actually.
You're learning how to animate, so are you an artist uh,
Um,
outside
I'm
of
not a
everything?
very good artist. No,
Oh, well. I
I would
mean,
I wouldn't count myself as an artist yet. I learned how to do art when I was younger on pen and paper, like the average millennial.
mm, yeah.
But that skill level hasn't translated to the digital world yet.
Well, I mean, it's a good start. If it shows how early your interest was, anyway. Uh, what got you interested in doing animation?
Well, ever since becoming a VTuber about a year and some change ago, I kind of had like the idea of like a little comic. But I don't feel like, or I don't have like the money to pay for somebody better than me to do it,
Hmm.
which that might come in time.
Yeah, I mean,
But that's like
necessity,
the,
necessity,
huh?
then necessity requires invention in this case.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So how far along are you? I mean, are you confident enough to put something out for everybody?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm still like, I'm working in an animatic style right now. I don't have anything like properly fleshed.
Mm, mm,
So like once I get like the basics of how to do it down on, because like I just started doing it like probably a month ago.
hmm So
So
it's all self-taught.
yeah,
Ah,
I've always been self-taught.
yeah. So whatever comes out is going to be definitely all your style.
Oh yeah. I mean, I take inspiration when I was growing up. I drew a lot of Dragon Ball
Hmm.
because anime's been like the forefront of my childhood.
And you tend to take that as an inspiration.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Have you come up with your own characters?
Well, myself right now.
Ah,
I'm working on how to draw myself how I like truly envision it. That way, there's no butchered media of how I view myself.
that's it. That's the easiest way to to get yourself in good shape is to draw yourself and then present that to everybody instead of what actually shows up.
True enough.
It's sure a lot easier than trying to lose weight and and get and buff up. But
Yeah, if I decide I want to be a little bit bigger, I can just make myself a little bit bigger.
that's right. Just a flick of the wrist.
Yep.
Have you found the transition from pen and paper or pencil and paper to digital easy?
No. It's actually very hard for my brain to get that down. Because I'm a very tactile person. I like the feel of things, which
Mhm.
is weird because I hate the feel of paper. But I find without that feel, like my pen strokes aren't, that good.
So yeah, it's so you're doing it with a mouse or a stylus or both.
A stylus.
Yeah. So it have a little bit of it, but it's not the same.
Yeah, there's like no resistance.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you saw anything that I tried to do with art, there should be as much resistance as possible. In fact, there might ought to be a few armies up against anything I try to draw. The Yeah, that's how bad it is. Now, you got started, say, a little while back in the VTubing.
About a year and a half ago, I was a part of the VTuber community during the pandemic,
Hmm.
but I couldn't stream myself even no matter how bad I wanted to, simply because I had really bad internet at the time. But
Ah,
now I have fire, so it's not a problem.
now there you go. So, what made you get started? Was it the pandemic itself?
It wasn't really the pandemic itself. Like I've always wanted to be a content creator, like a streamer, something like that, even before the pandemic. Like I was streaming back in 2017. No, you won't find those old VODs anywhere.
Uh, there's people
Um,
that's writing it down. I say I tried to find that. Yeah.
oh yeah. But no, I was only able to really stream like solo player games and I wanted to, have like a kind of like a group of people to stream with.
Hmm.
'Cause I feel solo streaming is a bit limited in what you can do. Sure, it's very interactive, but there's not a lot of content to be gained from it.
Right.
if it's just yourself.
Yeah. Were you able to find people to collaborate with easily? Or was it a matter of time, or were these people you already knew?
I have one friend who I joke around as and act as like she's my manager because she's been a good friend of mine for years now.
Hmm.
Me and her, we play a lot of horror games together. But as for like other games, because she's not very into like first person shooters or anything like that, which is a gaming style that I grew up on.
Right.
I find other people to play with. I have a few other friends who are now friends that I met in different VTuber communities.
And was it easy to get people that you were compatible with, or were there a couple of false starts?
There's a lot of false starts, I'd say. Every now and again you'll join like a Discord or something like that, and somebody will be like, "Hey, I'm a happy-go-lucky. I'm not what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not like very lewd or anything." And then you get in a Discord with them, and all of a sudden, all they can talk about is,
Yeah.
"Yeah."
Yeah,
And I'm like, nice to meet you. I'll see you later."
you never noticed that the word lewd probably wasn't ever used before 2020? After the pandemic and VTubing started coming up, now the word lewd is used more often than any time in history, I think. But it's a perfect way to describe it. And when you get a matchup that isn't good or just isn't going to work, how did you deal with it? You just kind of force your way through?
Um, I've tried forcing my way through at one point, but I find that just makes both parties miserable at some point.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so it's really just a matter of the personality you deal with people. Like I like to understand how people think.
Hmm.
And a lot of the times the problems kind of sort themselves out by them ghosting me.
That's passive aggressive ghosting.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll force them out.
Oh no, they just leave me, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's their fault. They, what? So I saw that you've got a lot of Pokemon up there, and
Yeah.
you've been playing Pokemon recently. So were you always a Pokemon person?
Pokemon is something I grew up with. I played the original games when they first came out. I'm really dating myself.
Yeah.
Um, and it's always been like a thing for me with Pokemon. And only like recently, in the last couple years, I got into doing these challenge runs, and I found they were fun, if not, albeit quite annoying, especially with games like Pokemon Radical Red.
So
Um,
what is Radical Red? Is that one of a kind of a bootlegish type thing?
It is a complete makeover of the original Fire Red
Mm-hmm.
games, with all like the latest generational gimmicks, like Mega Evos.
Oh,
I'm not sure if terrestrializations are in it yet, but it's got a lot of the whole like Dynamax, Mega Evolution, things like that from like Gen 6, Gen 7, Gen 8,
yeah.
as well as the Pokemon.
All the extra gimmicky bells and whistles on it,
Yeah.
but the original game didn't have that sort of thing.
No, the original Fire Red was only Gen 3, so like you had like Kanto, Johto, and some of the Hoenn starters.
Yeah, that would have been pretty tough to program, don't you think?
Yeah, from what I hear, the guy who makes it, I don't know him personally, but he's been working on it for, oh, I don't know, the last 6 to 7 years, maybe more.
Mm.
And he's like, yeah, I'm never gonna stop. This is too fun. And I'm like, okay, buddy.
Well, Nintendo should throw him a couple of bucks here and there, because if he's able to take a program and basically remake it over and update it by
Mhm.
himself, he must be pretty good at it.
Yeah, he's got a friend who does a lot of the testing, but he does a lot of the coding, from what I gather.
Man, that's now that's one of the games that. Are you a big Nuzlocke type player?
I am. I do enjoy doing like Nuzlocks. Right now, actually, on Twitch, I've been starting a series where I hardcore Nuzlocke every single Pokemon game.
Oh.
So like Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue. I'm doing them in order of when they were released.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also doing it with no repeat Pokemon between the games. So like if
Oh.
I use Bulbasaur in Pokemon Blue, I can't use it in any other game.
Oh. 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 So you're tying both hands behind your back and one of your legs as well.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Man, I know that I was interviewed someone earlier that they were doing a one of the Pokemon games a run through with only shiny Pokemon.
Yeah, that's too much pain for me.
Yeah, we found your threshold.
Yeah, yeah, that's too much. The
Yeah,
shiny chances are stupid high,
yeah,
especially in the early games.
yeah. I told him that you may end up with a lifetime with this one. Oh,
Yeah.
they ought to sponsor you for this particular run. Um, as far as performing in front of people, which of VTubing really is. Have you always been a performer?
Funny enough, no.
Hmm.
Most of my life I've been like small circle friend group, like maybe 5 to 6 people.
Yeah.
And then even in real life, I'm, pretty introverted. Um, but I've gotten to the point now where VTubing, because, it's not my real face or anything, so I'm not worried about, somebody knowing who I am.
Right.
But it's a lot easier to put on a persona, a lot easier to not really be fake, but be more outgoing, be more extroverted without fear of judgment.
Yeah. The people I've interviewed, I think most of them are naturally introverted. It seems there are a few that are everywhere at once, but it's more of uh, I wouldn't say alter ego type of thing where they're putting on
Mhm.
an entirely different character. It's more of an accentuation of what they were normally. Maybe times two, times three. Is that the case here?
I would say, yeah. Like my personality, especially talking to you,
Hmm.
this is how I normally am anyway.
Hmm.
And this is how I like portray myself in streams. Sure, I could be a little bit more over the top, a little bit more extra, as some might say.
Yeah.
But even then, those are still like parts of me, and I've always been like big into role playing anyway,
Hmm.
so it's all just one big, story for me.
That's cool. And so you've been pretty comfortable with it, at just
Yeah.
getting in there and going. So was there a learning curve, or had you jumped in at the right time?
I actually unfortunately jumped in late. I jumped in after the pandemic and everything.
Hmm.
So I wasn't able to amass like a huge following like a lot of other VTubers during that time.
Yeah. Well,
Um, but as for like learning the space, it honestly came down to like the programs and learning exactly like what to watch out for. Because within the VTubing space, you have a lot of artists who are always coming at you, and a lot of them are scams, but a
right.
lot of them are really good.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of them that are really. I am not a VTube person at all. I don't. I was a radio guy.
Hmm.
I was an A tuber, audio
Ah,
only. But
like Alistair from Has Been Hotel.
yeah, yeah, just I was the tube. My radios had tubes in them. But the number of people I've had come up and ask for to do models and drawings for me, whether they're bots or otherwise, is amazing.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and they still come at me like, I'm not going to use a model. I don't want one. How do you get through that? Even if you see something that catches your eye.
Um, so you have to be very selective with the people you work with, especially as a VTuber,
Hmm.
and especially if you use Twitter because you can get canceled really quickly on Twitter.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Um, I get probably, and mind you, I'm a very small content creator. I only have like 200 plus followers on Twitch and only almost 100 on YouTube, so I'm not very big yet. I still get about maybe 4 to 5 artists a week.
Yeah.
Um, and one of the main things I notice is they all have like pretty much like the same pitch. Hey, can I ask you a question? I
Yeah.
kind of I kind of stay away from that. Like I might humor it if I'm in need of something, just to see what they're capable of. But one of the main things that I would say to anybody starting out in the VTuber space when you get these like random Discord DMs, because that's where they come from,
Right.
or random Twitter DMs, hey, I'm an artist. Do you need a banner, this, that, the third? Go with it with very high skepticism.
Right.
Don't pay them up front.
No. No, don't do that. We've seen too many people get scammed very quickly with that.
Mhm.
And if it
I
and
oh sorry.
and also check them out. but before you do anything, because a lot of people are
Mhm.
using other people's names on their accounts.
Mhm.
Um, I got one from somebody who claimed they were I forget the name of it, but had a couple million followers on YouTube. I'm like, why are you even contacting me? I'm
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
I say just block them off. Um, as far as the community is concerned, have you once you got started, has it been easy for you to network with other VTubers?
Honestly, yeah. And depending on the space and the type of VTubers you're trying to interact with, a lot of VTubers are very honest and upfront with you. They're not going to sugarcoat a damn thing.
They've been through it a while.
Um, yeah, they've been there a while. They know the ins and outs and the stuff that you might say.
Mhm.
But yeah, a lot of VTubers are very just straight up honest. So like once you find that good group of people and you can find them, you're not going to have that much of a problem.
Yeah, yeah. Don't stray too far away, but keep the door slightly ajar anyway.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
you never know what's going to come around the corner. Now, I grilled you about the Pokemon a little bit, but that's not the only
Mhm.
game you're playing.
No.
What other games are you streaming right now?
Right now, I want to stream Dragon's Dogma, but I just can't afford it right now.
Hmm.
But I do stream a lot of horror games. One of the main ones are the Outlast Trials is one of my big games that I go to with friends.
Hmm.
I do a Minecraft Monday on occasion with a server that I run and
Right.
a couple friends.
Yeah.
We play modded Minecraft.
What mods are on it?
We cycle through different mod packs. Right now we're doing a difficulty exploration pack. I think the name is Fallen Realms of the mod is the name of the mod pack.
Mhm. Yeah. And
And it's very magic based, very there's a little bit of tech to it,
okay.
but aside from that, there's not much to it aside from the fact that all the mobs that are within as you do things, they get stronger and stronger. So there's never a time where I'm just one-shotting a zombie. It usually takes 3 to 5 hits.
Your actions have consequences.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, that's good. And now that's one of those games where you can, even with the mod, is can be kind of like a chill game for you.
Yeah.
Everybody has one of those. Well, that's good that you have some way to blow off the steam. Because if you're doing these horror games, I don't know how anybody can sit through them for very long.
Yeah.
It did. Some of them would drive me up a tree just from the visuals alone. Have you always been a horror fan?
Oddly enough, no. When I was younger, horror movies terrified me. But when I started playing like horror games, like I realized that my I guess scare threshold was getting lower and lower. Like don't get me wrong, my heart rate still rises to a good horror game, like where it's tense and everything.
Hmm.
A really good one that I played recently was the Dark Pictures anthology, Little Hope.
Now, I haven't heard of that
Um
one. What's that about?
so that game, just to summarize it up with like very little spoilers, you you play a character, well, a multitude of characters. I think it's like 5 or 6. I haven't touched it in over a week and a half, maybe 2. But you play 6 characters, and it's all like a story-based horror game. You're going along through like the motions of this town called Little Hope, which has been abandoned because like the main factory shut down,
Hmm.
so there's no money coming into the town anymore,
Right.
and everybody's just kind of left. But at the very start of the game, and this isn't really a spoiler, you're in a house where you got a father, wife, brother, sister, and little sister,
Okay.
and an older brother. And as you're going through, they're talking about how there's something wrong with the youngest daughter, like she's possessed by the devil or something. And there is some attribute to that because I'm trying to go through it without spoiling too much.
Yeah. And,
Let's just say the house catches fire and everybody dies.
yeah. Well, I mean,
But
hopefully that's not the end of it.
no, that wasn't the end of it. But there's times throughout the game where you'll come across like photos of the past or like news articles, stuff that tries to explain like the lore and history.
Hmm.
And it's pretty eerie because the characters you're currently playing, even though they're like 30 plus years into the future, look kind of similar to the family who died in that fire.
Might want to leave it on that cliffhanger for that one.
Yeah.
That sounds like an interesting game for a horror enthusiast to get into, and encompass. It sounds like something that could really wrap you up for a while.
Oh, it wrapped me up for a good solid 6 hours.
Now, I heard you said singing earlier, mentioned singing.
Mhm.
Have you done any covers yet?
I'm actually in the process of working with another tuber friend of mine. And we're doing a duet cover of the song Shinu no ga. I always struggle on the pronunciations because it's
Mm,
Japanese, and
yes.
I'm not a native Japanese speaker. Shinu no naga wa. I can't say it. Sorry.
That's all right. It's coming out soon, whatever the title is. No, that type of stuff you're learning. If you don't know the language, you're learning basically syllable by syllable. That's
Yeah, pretty much.
and that's not easy, especially if you're trying to actually hit a note while you're doing it.
Yeah.
So
I find it funny that I can actually sing better in Japanese than I can in English, even though I'm a native English speaker.
yeah, I've really seen a lot of songs these days on my YouTubers or VTubers. I mean, on YouTubers, anything that are kind of mixing English and Japanese lyrics together,
Hmm.
which may confuse some folks. But if you've got captions and or a little bit, it does help. It actually, I think, helps the flow of the song a little bit.
Hmm. It gives it like a little bit of a breakup, which is what a lot of people nowadays need,
Hmm.
especially with like people who don't have like people who have like ADHD or something like that.
Right.
They can follow along a bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah. It really it does it keeps it gives them a little bit more of a leeway in for their lyrics. If something isn't going to fit, they can change languages and fit it that
Yeah, and make it
way.
fit.
It's kind of a cheat, but what the heck? Life's full of cheats.
Yeah.
uh, what are your plans for the rest of this year? Have you got some big things set up besides the song?
Um, Big things. Like I'm working on that Pokemon hardcore Nuzlocke of every mainline game. That's the biggest thing I'm doing this year.
Yeah.
That's spanning over 41 different games because I'm putting Scarlet and Violet in there too. So it's gonna be like a multi-video long thing that I'm gonna be doing with that one.
You've got your base content right there.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing. I may do a couple covers here and there. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
But out of VTubing, and streaming in general, I'm also working towards becoming a pilot,
Whoa.
in the real world.
Yeah. Good luck with that. I'm scared to death of heights.
See, I'm not afraid of heights. It's the fear of falling, the sudden stop.
Congratulations to you on getting up and doing it. And that shows me that I mean, just that alone, combined with the ease of which you seem to be able to do these streams, means that you've got a lot of confidence in what you're able to do and what you want to do.
Mhm.
That,
And I relish that to like how I grew up. I never really. I was always like a little bit, bullied in school and everything, but that never really bothered me
mhm,
simply because I look at the world in a different way than most people, I would say.
mhm.
I just don't take people's crap, honestly.
And there's a lot to take.
Yeah. I tend to focus on my own personal view, my own personal outlook, and be like, am I happy with myself? And the answer is usually yes. Therefore, I can be confident with myself.
Well, folks, if you want to see a soon-to-be pilot in action and maybe catch it on his singing, and it's certainly all of the Pokemon Nuzlocks he's going to be doing, check out what Jasmer has to offer. We'll have the links coming up in the description for the video. And I thank you so much for taking the time to come on with me.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.